Okay, for the tennis elbow, we're going to do an entirely different type of manipulation. This does not affect the joint. The whole point of this manipulation, though, is to tear scar tissue, inextensible scar tissue, within the common extensor tendon. And for this, we need to keep the tendon on stretch as we perform the thrust. And this is the Mills manipulation. In order to do this safely, we need certain things from the elbow. That is, it's got to have full range of elbow extension, and we've got to maintain that full tension on the tendon. Otherwise, the thrust force will fall through the elbow joint itself and result in a traumatic arthritis rather than actually coming in and tearing these scars. So we need the patient sitting for this one, and we'll get the bed down eventually. Can you move up the end of the bed a little bit more there for that and shift back a tad? Now this one can just as easily be done on a chair as on a bed. Remember to make sure that you check elbow extension before you even contemplate this manipulation. It's got to have full range of elbow extension. This technique is really aimed at the epicondylar variety of tennis elbow, and it must be preceded with deep transverse frictions before the manipulation is even attempted. You have to basically soften these scar tissues. Having done that, though, then the Mills manipulation consists of this. We need full wrist flexion, okay, in this position. I'll stand right behind the patient so that as I extend the elbow to bring that full stretch onto the tendon, by me keeping my arm straight, there is no loss of that wrist flexion. If I stand in this position and extend it, then I run the risk of extending the wrist at the same time and losing the tension. So stand way behind the patient. The patient's hand should be pointing laterally and not posteriorly. Okay? So we slowly straighten out the elbow, bringing it to the point where we can feel the tension increasing in that tendon. And then once we've reached that point, it's simply a downward thrust to rupture those adhesions. Now be careful when you're practicing this on normals, because very often you won't have enough resistance from these tendons to prevent you from getting to full elbow extension. And if you do the thrust at that point, then you're essentially going to, again, manipulate the elbow. Okay? So keep the wrist well flexed, extend slowly, feel the tissue tension kick in, and then thrust down on the olecranon. And this technique is not particularly painful. It looks worse than it actually is. It's not particularly painful, and it doesn't particularly produce an awful lot of tenderness afterwards.